There's an epidemic of AI generated and photoshopped icons being sold, and buyers generally have no idea. If you take a look at these three icons here, you will notice something that they all have in common. It's the same head that's been copy and pasted on multiple different icons. The original is this one here on the right, painted by Archimandrite Xenon, but no credit is given to him. Many people don't know that these type of photoshopped icons are extremely common, but they're relatively easy to pick out. I usually look for digital script, like in the case here, as well as clashing styles. So here you can see that Saint Anne's face is painted in a completely different style as the Theotokos here. In this case, the real saint on the left had his face darkened, and then it was relabeled as Saint Moses the Black. This isn't a black saint being painted. This is another saint who had his face copied, palette shifted, cut, pasted, and renamed. Someone couldn't be bothered to paint St. Moses the Black or commission someone to paint St. Moses the Black, so they stole someone else's work and just relabeled it. Is this really honoring St. Moses? Also, they put a halo around the chalice, which is very strange and not really traditional. The scary thing I haven't really seen anyone else talk about or bring up is that now unknowing iconographers are hand copying these photoshopped and AI generated icons with real paint, like this case on the right here. That means in the future saying, I commissioned a hand painted icon, not an AI one, may not save you. Your hand painted icon may just be someone tracing a AI hallucination. Once this normalizes, I think it's going to be very hard to undo or go back. I've received a little bit of pushback from a few people that are saying, but this is traditional. Iconographers have always borrowed from older painters. And first of all, I don't know what's traditional about any of this. And the goalpost shifting is kind of crazy because I think me and most other painters have had the experience of people saying, your icons aren't real if they're not painted in a certain style, or it's not a real icon if it's not painted in egg tempera. But then we're accepting this. But to be extremely charitable, I think I know the point they're trying to get at. Iconography definitely has a shared visual tradition of hand gestures, garments, compositions, and other established conventions. My criticism isn't that every single icon has to be a completely brand new creation straight from the imagination of the painter. My criticism is targeted at the digital cutting, pasting, recoloring, and repackaging of someone else's finished work, then selling it without permission, credit, or compensation. Those two are definitely not the same thing. There's a world of difference between a painter studying older icons to create something new within the tradition, and a company opening up Photoshop, copying one saint's head, pasting it on another saint's body that's done in a completely different style, changing the inscription, and then calling it a new icon. That's sloppy, dishonest, and it doesn't honor the iconographer, the tradition of the church, or the saint that's being depicted. Many iconographers who aren't business savvy enough or tech literate enough to protect themselves are having their work stolen, printed, and sold for profit with zero compensation. If this doesn't change, many iconographers will leave the craft. I already know many who have. And the best young Orthodox artists won't even bother starting in the first place. For people who say that it's ethical to steal from iconographers because they should be humble, and that's why they don't sign their work, I would ask, would you compile homilies from your parish priest into a book and then sell it for profit without any compensation or credit? Would you steal from a grocery store? Why or why not? Would you feel proud standing before Christ, telling him that you took work from iconographers and sold it for personal profit without giving them any credit at all? I posted an infographic I made about this topic to my social media, and it's got a lot of positive feedback, which I'm really happy to see. And this was pretty much the only negative comment that I got, and I think it's actually a really good opportunity to clarify a few things. So I'll leave it on screen if you want to read it. First of all, the commenter conceded something very interesting down here, which happens to be my main point, which is that theft isn't good. I completely agree, and that's why I made the post. The issue that I'm trying to highlight is that people will often agree in principle that theft is wrong, but then treat the theft of the work done by iconographers as normal or acceptable simply because it's common. But if we agree in principle that it's wrong, then the logical conclusion is that we shouldn't excuse it. Secondly, the anecdote about his priest is just completely irrelevant. Imagine if I responded to this by saying, oh yeah, well, my priest is twice as academic as yours and even more of an accomplished scholar, and he would absolutely mind if his homilies were reproduced or sold without his permission. That wouldn't prove my position any more than his anecdote is going to prove his. Personal stories don't settle moral questions. The issue is whether it's morally acceptable or not to take someone else's work and profit from it without giving any compensation or credit. And then the suggestion down here that iconographers should simply not distribute their work if they don't want it stolen is just a clear example of victim blaming. He's effectively shifting the responsibility away from the people who are doing the copying and selling and placing it on the artists themselves. The solution to theft should be accountability and not silence from the people being stolen from. It seems people are still missing the point I'm trying to make, so one last time, let me write this out as clearly as I can make it. Okay, here is my argument written out formally, and I will walk you through it now. Premise 1. If an action involves taking someone else's creative work and using it for profit without permission, credit, or compensation, then it is theft. Some, not all, some commercially sold icon prints involve taking artists' work and using it for profit without permission, credit, or compensation. Premise 3. Theft or wrongful appropriation is morally wrong. Conclusion. Therefore, those practices are morally wrong and should not be supported. If people care about Orthodox iconography, the practical step is simple: support real iconographers. If buying a print, ask 1. Who painted this? And 2. Was the person who painted this credited or compensated in any way? Those 2 questions alone would make this problem much harder to ignore. So I hope you found this video valuable or interesting in some way. If you have any thoughts, please share it below. I'd love to read, and I'll leave my socials in the description. Thanks.